Welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices, the podcast dedicated to bringing you diverse, innovative leadership insights and actionable strategies for success. Join hosts Laura McNeil and Bob Madeiros as they explore the art and science of role model leadership through thought-provoking conversations with real professionals. Whether you're a seasoned leader or aspiring to excellence, Sterling Visionary Voices is your guide to navigating the complexities of your leadership journey.
Hello and welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices. I'm your host, Bob Madeiros, and it's my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Ms. Juli Lewis. Juli is a globally recognized leader and passionate advocate for the credit union movement with a career rooted in purpose, people, and impact. As a certified credit union development educator and financial capability professional, Juli brings heart and strategy together, helping organizations turn core values into real-world loyalty. Currently serving at USF Credit Union, Juli has worn many hats across the industry in the last 35 years, from educator to strategist to connector-in-chief. She's spoken on stages across the country, led award-winning initiatives, and somehow manages to make community impact cool. Known for her energy, humor, and deep belief in people helping people, Juli's superpower is bringing authenticity to everything she touches. Whether she's mentoring the next generation or rallying a team around a cause, she reminds us all that in a noisy world, leading with heart isn't just different, it's unforgettable. Juli, it's so nice to have you here on Sterling Visionary Voices.
Thank you, Bob. I am excited to be here, and you've set the bar pretty high. I hope I can live up to that intro.
Oh, great. Well, I guess to start off, you've entitled this discussion Beyond Convenience, Building Loyalty Through Values in a Noisy World. Could you begin by telling our listeners what you really mean by that title?
Yes, absolutely. By noise, I mean fast-paced that innovation travels. Nothing today is like it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even yesterday. And it seems to be getting faster and faster. So we just had our strategic planning session, and we were talking about a flywheel. Everyone can kind of picture a flywheel. And the cogs on that wheel were data, ease, and AI. And while I agree, I think the glue that holds all that together is connection. So that's kind of what I mean by it's a noisy world out there, and the pool of competitors, not just in the credit union industry, but every industry, are growing. You know, whether they're real people or automation, we have a lot more competitors than we used to. So we've got to kind of step back from the noise a little bit and keep centered on what really matters.
You know, it's funny because I don't mean to date myself here, but I can remember when credit unions had very limited membership requirements, and since that, I mean, that changed a long time ago. But you know, your competitive prospects out there has definitely expanded since those days. You know, you mentioned how fast-paced everything is in this age where speed and digital convenience are really expected. What's the real battleground for winning the hearts and, again, loyalty of your customers today?
So you hit the nail on the head when you said being fast and easy are expected these days. You know, that's not a nice to have, that's a must have. So making that emotional connection is what is really, really going to drive loyalty, sustain your growth. I'm a very visual person, so I always like to relate it to a picture that someone can see in their mind. And if you picture a big tree at a park, I don't know if you like to climb trees when you were little, but I was always up there climbing trees. And I would look for a tree that was big with nice big leaves, nice sturdy branches. branches kind of low to the ground, so it's very easy to climb. But if you think about it, that's your fast, that's your easy, that's your innovation. But if you think about it, when the next storm comes through, and I'm in Florida, so we do have a lot of storms coming through. When that next storm comes through, if that tree doesn't have good roots, it's not going to be there tomorrow. So that's what I mean by the battleground is those roots, making a connection with your customers or with your members so that they're actually going to stay with you. And I heard a stat lately that I'd love to share. We all know Venmo. We're all probably Venmo users out there. I know I use Venmo. It's even become a verb. It's so widely used. Can you Venmo that to me? But I recently read a stat that only 5% of Venmo users said that they would be disappointed if Venmo suddenly went away. And I thought, okay, that's not in the boat that I want to be in. I don't want only 5% of my members to be disappointed if I suddenly go away. And the reason for that, the reason that the Venmo users don't care is because they don't have an emotional connection. They know that the next shiny tool is going to come right along and take its place. So that's the key, is driving that emotional connection.
Right. Well, I think that example of Venmo and that emotional connection is pretty good, because if 95% of the Venmo customers don't care if it's not there tomorrow, there isn't that link, that connection between the organization and the customer. So, no, I appreciate that. You talk about in the title, we talk about core values being important. How can leaders ensure that their core values don't just live up there on the wall somewhere, but actually show up in those in the member or the customer experience?
That's a great question. A lot of companies have core values, but their employees don't even know what they are. So the very first basic step is to make sure everyone knows what your core values are. Use them in meetings, exemplify them, live them, and make them easy enough for the employees to remember. We call them our epic core values because we have one for each of the letters. So just make it's not rocket science, just make it super easy to remember. And I think leaders, the best way to live out the core values is to be real. People now don't want perfect, they want real. And that's something I'm far from perfect. So I always like to say I'm perfectly imperfect. So being real and authentic, and I'll give you another statistic. I love numbers. In addition to, I'm kind of weird like that. I like numbers and I like being creative. So I'm using both sides of my brain here. But 98% of people say that authenticity matters when they're looking for a brand that they're going to be loyal to. And 98%, think about that for a minute. It's hard enough to get two people to agree on one thing, or half the people in a room to agree on one thing. 98% of people agree on this. And I think that's because in this world, I'll go back to AI and automation and all the noise. We don't know what to believe anymore. AI has gotten so good, and I'm the first one to say we need it. And there are great ways to use it, but it also has its challenges. So there are the pros and cons there. AI has become so good that voice authentication may not work anymore. You watch a video and it may not even be that real person. You call someone and you don't know if you're talking to a person or a robot. So being authentic and just being real is truly what matters. I think that's the number one thing that leaders can do. Stop trying to be perfect and just be real.
Excellent. It's interesting. You just got off of strategic planning, How does how do you tie your core values into that strategic planning process?
That's a great question. And really, some of the things that I just said, yes, we have all these initiatives that we want to achieve. And there's an easy and fast way to achieve those initiatives. And then there's a way that is sustainable. So we say, okay, we can quickly grow our membership, we can grow our assets at the flip of a switch by using all of this AI, by using all this data. But the true way to grow in a sustainable manner and get loyal members coming in is to really make that connection with them, personalize experiences. We're looking at, okay, how can we maximize relationships with our volunteers, with our partners, with our members, and then connect them all together. I love being a connector. So we're looking at, okay, say, for example, the USF, of course, is a natural partner for USF Credit Union. Well, their library, USF Library, and I'm a graduate from USF, so go Wolves. But we took a tour and realized that there is an herbarium in the basement of the USF Library. Now, some people may not even know what that is, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but it is the largest storage place for all the species of plants in Florida. And outside of Florida, there are some species, but I know it has the most in Florida, 250,000 different species. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. And my brother, for one, is a big plant nerd. And so I thought immediately, boy, he'd love to take a tour of that. He would love to know that. So I'm thinking, let's personalize this experience for our members and bring in one of our partners and see how many of our members would like an exclusive experience by going to visit this. And that's just one of our partners. We have healthcare partners out there. We've got other educational partners, the Orlando Ballet. Those are some great experiences. So just personalizing experience and turning membership into moments that truly matter.
Very good. So truth be told, I got my master's through USF too, so definitely go Bulls. Okay. So you talk about authenticity. Can you share a moment when authenticity really made a difference for someone in your organization?
Absolutely. I'm actually going to share a member story with you.
Okay.
And I like to call these stories, I love storytelling and I aspire to be a better storyteller, but I call these stories my starfish stories. And just to back up a little bit and preface what a starfish story is, again, I want you to visualize a small child out on the beach and they're walking along and all these starfish are washed up on the beach, dying in the Florida sun. And this little kid is running around picking up one starfish at a time and throwing it back in the water, trying to save them. And this crotchety old man walks up and he says, you're wasting your time. You're never going to save all those starfish. And the little kid bends down, picks up one more, tosses it back in, and says, Mister, I just made a difference for that one. So those are my starfish stories that anytime you can make a difference, even if it's just for one person, it's going to have a ripple effect. So this starfish story that I'll share with you, there was a young man, he was in high school, and his name was Toby. And Toby really, really, we had a financial wellness contest that was going on. And every Friday, we would go to this park in not a great area and get a group of kids together and teach financial wellness so that it could all culminate into this big competition at the end. Well, Toby really wanted to come. He really wanted to participate. He said, Miss Julia, I just can't commit to every Friday because I don't know if I'll have a ride. I live with my auntie. I don't know if I can get there. And I said, you know what? I'll come get you. I'll come pick you up every Friday afternoon and I'll bring you. He said, oh, Miss Julie, I don't want you to do that. You can't do that. And he was real adamant about me not coming to his house. And come to find out, it wasn't because he didn't want me to. It was because he was embarrassed of where he lived. And he thought it might be dangerous for me to get there because his sister had even been killed by a drive-by shooting on accident, which was not uncommon in this neighborhood. But I saw something in this young man that it just drove me to act on my values and say, no, I am going to come pick you up. I'll honk the horn when I'm there. You come out and we'll take off. So every Friday he showed up and went to this workshop, and it was all summer long. So it was probably about 8 weeks long. The competition came, and he wasn't the final winner in the competition, but he did super, super well. And then fast forward a couple years later, he looked me up on social media, and now his social media, when he was in high school, showed pictures of him giving a gang sign, drinking alcohol, all the things that kids think might make them look tough or cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he got in touch with me and he said, Miss Julie, I just want you to know that sparked something inside of me. And just the fact that you guys believed in me at that point in my life, he said, now I'm the head cook at Bonefish Grill because I started taking an interest in entrepreneurship and in actually doing something. He said, I just bought my first car. I live in Atlanta in a condo and I'm doing well. And since then, he keeps in touch with me. He even had a daughter. He named her Julie. No, he really didn't name her Julie, but that would have been a really cool ending to the story. But no, her name's not Julie, but he is doing amazingly well. So just living your values and believing in someone and just being real with him. I told him, I haven't made perfect choices, far from perfect, my entire life. We all make bad choices here and there. So, but just believing in people and living on those values instead of just kind of treating everyone the same is what makes the difference.
That's, I love, your starfish story, but I mean, to really demonstrate you personally, for that matter, how it's really made a difference, live in those values and really made a difference for someone. So thank you very much for sharing that. That's wonderful.
And everyone listening has a starfish story. I guarantee it. And I hope that anyone who's listening right now is thinking of their own starfish story. And I hope you share it. We need more news like that. I hope you get on LinkedIn or get on whatever social media you're on. And let's all start sharing those starfish stories.
Great. Oh my gosh. Earlier you had mentioned that some organizations, you talked a little bit about AI and some of the challenges with that. Do you think that maybe some organizations are really jumping on the bandwagon of digital trends like that at the cost of long-term loyalty? Because, loyalty is part of your topic here.
I do. I think so. As with any innovation, some people jump in too fast, before it's really vetted. Someone mentioned the other day that, AI is meant to give you answers. It's not meant to give you the truth all the time necessarily. Same thing with the TikTok trends. A lot of people go to TikTok now for their financial education, and those influencers are not vetted. So some of the information they're getting may not be true. So we really need, as fast as everything moves, I think we really need to slow down. When I just went to the World Credit Union Conference, and one of the keynote speakers mentioned something that really resonated with me. He said, the best way to speed up human connection is to slow down. And that's so true. You being first out of the gate at something, sometimes it pays off, but sometimes it doesn't. There's a risk involved, and how much risk are you willing to take, especially with your members or your customers or, whoever else might be involved.
Wow. That's a great quote. The best way to speed up human connection is to slow down. I'm taking notes here. I hope it's okay. You touched on something just now. So often we bat around the concept of world-class performance, but you folks there at USF Credit Union really live it. I understand you've recently returned from Europe where your organization was recognized. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. I'd love to. It's such an honor for me to get to represent the credit union at the World Credit Union Conference for this honor. And we were awarded the 2025 Digital Growth Award from the World Credit Union Council. And that meant a lot to us, a lot more than I can even put into words. We were the only credit union recognized, as a matter of fact, for any award at the conference. But the whole reason that we got that award is because it goes back to us thinking about our members and different ways that we can help our members. And we implemented some technology that was able to help a lot of different people. We call it Flex Pay. A lot of people do that now. We were the first credit union in Florida to put it to use. But the reason that it was so impactful, the very first member that used it was not someone just living paycheck to paycheck or, mismanaging their money. The first member to use it was a single mom who wanted to send her child to a summer camp. And she didn't want to have to make the choice between paying for essentials or sending her child to summer camp. She really didn't want to put it on a credit card and get underwater. So she was able to use this service, and then she became a hero to her child, which enabled us to become a hero to our member. So it just is all about helping people and looking for new ways we can help, but while still living our values at the same time.
Great. Hey, I'm again, as I'm taking notes here, you had mentioned that your core values kind of play into an EPIC. What's EPIC stand for?
You're going to test me here. EPIC stands for excellence, passion, innovation, community, and collaboration.
Excellent.
I passed the test. I hope my CEO is listening by now.
There you go. I'm sure he will be. Yeah, I mean, seriously, you make such a great case along those lines because, I can remember in my own career where, the values were just something that was stuck on the back of our badges and they weren't lived. And to see you guys actually tying them in and using them, every day, I think that's amazing. That's very good.
That I also want to mention, when we hire someone, when we're interviewing, the very first interview has nothing to do with the position that they're applying for. The very first interview is a culture interview. So we want to make sure that they fit those core values. If they don't seem like they're a good fit, they don't go any further. So it's not about the resume. It's not about the skills you have or the expertise, because all that can be trained. The very first interview is, do we think you're going to be a good culture fit? Because you know better than I do. I live close to Plant City, so I'm going to talk about Plant City strawberries for a minute.
Strawberries.
I mean, you know as well as I do, when one strawberry in the case starts getting a little bit of mold on it, it spreads to the rest of them quicker than you can blink an eye. So that's what we don't want to happen within our organization. We want to make sure that we keep all the strawberries looking nice and pretty.
Great. Building that into the having that culture alignment. That's excellent. Well, Julie, I truly enjoyed our discussion today. I really want to thank you for sharing your thoughts on building loyalty through values in a noisy world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And I will just leave one recommendation out there. If
Sure.
anyone has enjoyed this, someone I listen to a lot is Brene Brown. She has a great TED Talk out there on the power of vulnerability. And one of her famous quotes is, "Trust is built in very small moments." So it's not a huge thing. It's usually 1 degree shifts that you can make that are going to build that trust. And that's what I'll leave everyone with.
Excellent. Well, very good. So that's Brene Brown. Okay.
Brene Brown, the B.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, fantastic. Again, thank you very much, Julie. We appreciate it. That's pretty well all the time we have for today. I want to thank you all for joining us here at Sterling Visionary Voices. To hear this and other episodes, just go to sterlingvisionaryvoices.com. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Sterling Visionary Voices, Insights for Role Model Leadership from the Sterling Council. Discover more and connect with us at sterlingvisionaryvoices.com.